I had actually prepared a speech, but for the sake of indifference to what the princess said, I am going to forego that speech because my colleague and leader, Excellency Gordon Tapper, said if I deliver that speech, he's going to have Donald Trump deport me. So I'm not going so we're not going to go into that executive order that we call it an executive disorder because that's how this government is. On a very, very serious note, I will really forego all the pleasantries, but to just say that whenever we come together, it's God that gives us the opportunity to come together as one family, as the princess have said before. So we are one family, no matter where we come from. I really want to commend all of the physicians, all of the people who have spoken before. I've learned quite a lot. But let me just say, there is some very, very important points that I want to mention here. And the princess said, it's time for action. Of course, this house, the place you are sitting here, is called the Nelson Mandela Hall. I don't know if many people know this hall. This Nelson Mandela Hall, when people talk about women empowerment, where will the freedom of South Africa be today had it not been for Winnie Mandela? Yeah. Yeah. So despite all of this, everybody glorifies everybody else. That lady was a true freedom fighter. For 27 years, when her husband was incarcerated, she kept the fire burning. In this United States today, you all heard, I want to be very local because they said all politics is local. There are many of us in this room today who are immigrants, who may know somebody without a green card or a blue card or a red card, or yellow card or white card or any card whatsoever. People are living in fear, anxiety. But thank God, there are people of goodwill in this country who said to Donald Trump, no. And those judges, even though we don't know them, I think they deserve a big round of applause for saying no to Donald Trump. We are putting a freeze on it. The Honorable former Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, said, and I quote, "Women's rights are human rights." And I totally agree. While we are saying that, let me give you some not so good news. The challenges, the enormous challenges that women face today in the 21st century. Women account for 30% of the labor force, while men constitute more than double that, namely 70%. And for every dollar that men like me and others make, women in comparable positions make about 20 to 30% less. The majority of the women in the workforce today are in lower paid, unskilled positions with little or no social protection. For example, women amount for 61.5% in the service area, 13.5% in agriculture, 27% in agriculture, parliament or elected office, 23%, and in the Fortune 500 companies, take a note of this, 4%. Ironically, women's quest for equality has not kept pace with their numbers. I don't need to tell anybody that, but it is criminal. Under this Republican administration, the women's right to choose is under attack, as Republicans are seeking to defund Planned Parenthood legislation while also prohibiting U.S. foreign aid from going to any international health organization that also provides safe and legal abortion. Such draconian cuts are going to open the floodgates for back alley abortions wherein people are literally going to die. The brunt of these cuts also, and watch this UN, the State Department's budget is going to be cut by 30-something%, and which directly affects our developing countries. For those of you who go home sometimes and you go to the US embassies, you see all these long lines. There are people who have put in their applications, which is on the Homeland Security Task Team. There are people who have been waiting for just a reaction to either approve or disapprove their applications for 10 years for no reason at all. They say, we have a backlog. In several countries around the world, particularly war-ravaged ones, we have seen on social media wherein our mothers and sisters have become refugees, having to endure harsh conditions while trying to make it to safety or also trying to protect their children. Many have tragically died en route to safety. If and when they finally make it to other countries as refugees, they still suffer harsh conditions for their children. Women have historically worked 24/7 around the clock, taking care of children. I stand before you today myself as a proud beneficiary of a mother who taught me and reared me to be what I am today. So let's give our mothers and sisters a big round of applause. On the continent of Africa, almost 1 billion people with 54 African heads of state, this is the good news, we only have one African woman president. Just one, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. That broke the glass ceiling. In the United States, Hillary Rodham Clinton broke the glass ceiling for becoming the first major Democratic nominee of a major political party in this country. You're talking about almost over 100 years. I'm not afraid and I'm not ashamed to say many of us, my colleagues in this room, organized the first African diaspora Friends of Hillary Clinton. So if you are Republicans here, don't pay any mind to what I'm saying. I'm proud to have supported Hillary Clinton, because had we got a President Hillary Clinton, Africa would be in a better shape and the world would be a safer place. Since the election of Trump, women's organizations of this era across the country have organized the most massive demonstration in American history. So when you talk about empowerment, I don't know what they mean by women empowerment. They are already empowered. Most recently, you heard about Gambia. A woman led the education and information sector single-handedly to educate Gambians that to overthrew the 22-year rule of the dictator Jammeh. Madam Chairperson, I'm bold enough to say that Madam Fatou Camara made a positive difference in the establishment of democracy in her native country, Gambia. She did not wait for others to empower her, but rather she empowered her entire country, nationals across the globe. Now allow me, Madam Chairperson, to close by making the following recommendations on the way forward, because Madam Princess said, this is not a talk shop, this is time for action. Here are my suggestions. To heal, one must admit honestly to the problem and talk it through with honesty and sensitivity to the other person's feelings. Be not afraid to speak truth to power. It is part of our healing process. 2, to empower women and children, let us all make our mothers and children partners in a struggle for equality and opportunity. When we invest and look at after each other honestly and sincerely, the lines we need to empower any gender becomes irrelevant. We are in this fight together as men, women, and children. Even with my attendance here this afternoon, believe it or not, had it not been for a mother to tell me, Mr. President, you better report to Madam Bennings and the princess's meeting, otherwise you're going to be in trouble. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity, and may God bless you.